Hello, my lovely people, and welcome back to the Walk and Talk podcast, the dog training podcast designed to keep you company in a gently educational and hopefully mildly useful way whilst you wander around having the time of your life with your dog, hopefully feeling inspired, empowered, calmer, more knowledgeable, and more connected to both your dog and maybe even yourself by the end of each episode. How the heck are we all doing? How has your week been? How is your dog doing? What are you guys up to? If by any chance you are not really up to a lot at the moment that involves your dog, then don't worry. Don't feel bad about it because I have got you well and truly covered today. Because in this week's episode, I want to talk about something that not to toot my own trumpet, but I genuinely think could absolutely transform not only the way you train your dog this summer, but the way you experience dog ownership altogether. Bold claim, I know, but hear me out, stay with me, because over the past few weeks, right, I've had this little idea stuck in my head. And you might have seen me talk about it on Instagram already in recent weeks, if you follow me over there. If you don't, by the way, I don't know what on earth you're doing with your life. You can find me at Listen Dog Training. It's the most wonderful corner of the dog training themed internet, I promise. But anyway, so this idea that I have been ruminating on is the summer of side quests. And the reason I can't stop thinking about it, and I think the reason I love it so much, is the fact that this really silly little phrase, this little thought bubble of mine, actually contains one of the biggest missing pieces in modern dog training, in my humble opinion. Because somewhere along the line, and I know this because I've seen it so many times, so many people stop experiencing life with their dog and they start managing life with their dog instead. And it creeps up on you. It creeps up on you, okay? But before you know it, everything becomes about fixing something or monitoring things or correcting things or worrying about things or something in particular, anticipating the next issue or the next outburst or the next situation that's going to be a nightmare. Just trying to avoid disaster, trying to prevent embarrassment, trying to just get through the walk or the trip or just the day in general, just another day of your life without something hideous happening. And before you know it, you've accidentally built an entire relationship just around stress. That is now all your dog really represents to you. And you're not even necessarily fully conscious of it because I really think this kind of thing really sneaks up on people. And it's not because you regret getting a dog. You don't love your dog. Of course you do. I know you do. And it's not because everyone else who has a dog seems to just know what they're doing, but you're failing miserably, or because you are just lazy or inconsistent or you're just doing everything wrong. But it's because when behavioral struggles and these little issues start to enter the picture, especially things like, reactivity, pulling on the lead, barking at everything, anxiety, maybe separation anxiety, frustration behaviors, all of those kind of things, the human nervous system then starts orienting almost exclusively towards these problems. Like your brain starts scanning constantly for threat, right? It's scanning for danger. So you are just looking for the next thing to go wrong. You're looking for triggers. You're looking for signs that things are about to go wrong when actually everything's okay. You are looking for evidence that your training isn't working, evidence that you are failing, for confirmation that actually you are just rubbish at this and you are behind everybody else and you are getting it all wrong. And what's fascinating about this process, right? It's not just emotional, like you're not just having a breakdown, it is neurological because the brain is fundamentally at its core basically a prediction machine. I've definitely talked about this on the podcast before about dogs, but your nervous system is essentially constantly trying to anticipate what's going to happen next in order to keep you safe, right? Its job is not to keep you feeling amazing about life and feeling really happy and positive. Its job is just to keep you alive. And so when you've had enough stressful experiences with your dog or because of your dog, maybe like difficult walks or really embarrassing moments or some kind of horrible moment of public judgment because you have a reactive dog or some kind of big setback that's really knocked your confidence, whatever it is, your brain starts creating very strong predictive pathways around the whole concept of dog ownership itself. And you get to the point where you just stop expecting any joy. You stop expecting fun. You stop expecting connection and adventure and curiosity and all the good things. And instead, your body starts preparing for just management and survival. And honestly, I think this is one of the saddest things that happens in the dog ownership world because I don't think anybody gets a dog dreaming about behavior modification plans, do they? I don't think they do. That is, I mean, it's not what anybody's putting on their Instagram highlights, right? Is it? People get dogs because they are imagining like this magical companionship and all the adventure that they're going to have and the connection and the cozy Saturday mornings cuddled up with a blanket with their gorgeous little dog or going out into the world, going places together, going to the beach, going to the woods, whatever doggy days out tickle your fancy. Just that general lovely warm feeling of feeling like a team, feeling like you are doing life with someone in a fun little way. And then somewhere along the way, so many people just lose access to that feeling altogether. They completely forget what that feels like. And I'm excited, okay, because I think side quests are the solution, guys. I think this is what we've been looking for. So I'm basically thinking of a side quest, as I'm calling it, as something that is fundamentally different to a problem solving mission. So this kind of quest is not anything like, oh, okay, I'm going to teach my reactive dog to stop barking at shit all day. Okay. That's not a side quest. A side quest, my side quest, needs to be something that is a bit playful. Like it needs to be something that is just, you're just exploring something just for the sake of it. It's just frivolous. It's low pressure, it's curiosity driven, it's not need driven. So it's something you choose to do not because you have this awful problem and you desperately need to fix something, but you choose to do it just because, you saw it online or whatever and you're like, oh, that sounds a bit interesting. Oh, that looks a bit cool. Or that might be really enriching or satisfying or exciting or whatever. Like we're orienting towards all of those feel good vibes, right? Not the stressy ones, not the pressure ones. And I promise you, just that mindset shift alone can completely transform the emotional climate surrounding owning your dog, training your dog, living with your dog, the whole shebang. Because the moment you stop waking up every day thinking, oh God, how do I stop my dog doing whatever it is, XYZ, horrible thing that they do that embarrasses you? And instead, you start thinking, oh, I wonder, what does today hold? What little adventure are we going to go on today? Or what fun thing can we learn together today? Or what skill would make our little life feel a little bit cooler or a little bit easier or just generally a little bit more fun? Then your entire nervous system changes, your energy changes, your patience changes, your creativity changes, your consistency changes. And when all of those things start to change positively, as if by magic, what happens? You guessed it. Your dog's emotional responses to you are going to start changing as well. And what's really interesting is that so often when owners just let go of hyperfixating on the problem, behavioral progress often starts accelerating at this point, precisely when we stop obsessively grasping for that behavioral progress in the first place. Now, obviously, caveat, before someone clips this out of context and gets all dramatic, tries to cancel me, I'm not saying we should, ignore serious behavioral issues. Of course, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying training doesn't matter or it isn't important. I'm not saying we shouldn't be doing the work to address fear or anxiety or aggression or stress or whatever it is. But what I'm saying is that humans and dogs, we know that we learn best inside emotionally safe, motivating, rewarding ecosystems that feel good, right? And if every single interaction becomes saturated with pressure and tension and urgency and just hyperfixation on problems, then both members of the partnership start losing access to playfulness and exploration and experimentation and just joy. And that stuff really matters because, from a neuroscience perspective, positive emotional states massively influence learning capacity. So, when dogs feel safe, curious, engaged, optimistic, happy with everything happening around them, the brain becomes more flexible and more receptive to learning. Likewise for humans, absolutely ditto. Do you remember me telling you a few episodes back about that god awful maths teacher I had who just made every single maths lesson feel like walking a tightrope across a Grand Canyon? Well, I can't even remember how to do long division now. Okay, I can't do maths. My calculator app is like my most used app on my iPhone. Happy learning environments are really important. And so it stands to reason that a stressed out, ashamed, embarrassed, burnt out dog owner cannot access the same creativity or observational skill as somebody who is feeling good, feeling hopeful, feeling inspired, feeling joyful. And this is one of the reasons I think side quest training could genuinely become transformational for people. And just in case it's not clear already, I'm sure it is. I'm sure you're already, maybe you're completely lost. I don't know. Side quest training is absolutely a term that I have made up. Okay. Making this year the year of the summer of side quests is probably not something you're going to find on Google. So you're just going to have to roll with me on this one. Okay. Because I just love the idea of this summer becoming less about fixing my difficult dog and more about building the coolest, most connected, most adventurous relationship we possibly can. So, what if your goal just became, I want my dog to love learning with me? What if your mission became, I want us both to become more confident exploring the world together? And remember, the best part about all of this is both the sneakiest part and the best part is that side quests often subtly start to solve the original, behavioral problem anyway. A dog who learns optimism and confidence through playing games with you often becomes more resilient around their triggers. A dog who discovers joy in engagement exercises with their owner becomes then easier to redirect and easier to recall. A dog who practices novelty and exploration becomes more adaptable and more confident. And a dog who can learn to regulate their arousal during some fun little play and training sessions then becomes better at settling and choosing calmness in real life scenarios. A dog who builds confidence through achievable adventures often ends up becoming less reactive, less anxious, less frantic. And meanwhile, you, as the owner of that dog, you start feeling better about life as well, because you start collecting evidence that life with your dog is not just stress and failure and management. You start having those magic little moments again. And sometimes that's the first step towards everything changing. the way that you have been wishing it would change for months already, if not years. We have to remember that ultimately training is not simply about suppressing unwanted behaviors all the time. It's about constructing an emotional and behavioral ecosystem where different behaviors become more likely to emerge naturally. And side quests are brilliant for this because they create opportunities for reinforcement histories that are rich in success and curiosity and teamwork and confidence and so on and so on. So, let's take a working example, okay, of somebody, let's say their dog is reactive on walks. So, in that case, now if every single walk becomes a situation for trigger scanning and holding the lead tightly and avoiding people or dogs or whatever the trigger is for this particular dog, and then bracing for explosions when you didn't see someone coming, and then feeling really embarrassed and mortified and wishing the ground would swallow you up and thinking, oh, for God's sake, here we go again, then the entire walk itself just becomes emotionally contaminated because nobody, I don't care who you are or what you say, nobody can be looking forward to that happening every day. It's not possible. And so the dog starts associating the environment or the walk with that tension, and the owner starts associating it with just dread. And then everybody just becomes all ramped up and hypervigilant, and it's just unpleasant. But now, imagine introducing side quests. So maybe today's little side quest is just this: find 5 things that your dog can jump on top of. Like, we're going low level parkour just for the fun of it. No reason, just because why not? And tomorrow's mission is a little sniffari treasure hunt around the house. You've got 10 treats. You're going to hide them all around the house and see how long does it take your dog to find them all. Zero objective other than having a good time. And then maybe it's teaching your dog to weave in between your legs because you saw it on Instagram and it just looks like fun. So why the hell not? Maybe you want to teach your dog to ride calmly in a little carry bag. If you go to my Instagram, I actually taught Albie to do this recently as a little side quest of our own. Maybe you want to learn a little freestyle spin sequence, or teach your dog to catch treats, or teach them a retrieve, whatever. Like, you could go on and on. And do you see what starts happening? The idea of hanging out with your dog stops being so much about anticipating something stressful or bracing for impact and starts being about just having fun for fun's sake. And I think this matters so much because ultimately, our attention shapes our emotional experience. What we repeatedly orient towards and focus on and look for becomes neurologically amplified. And this is one reason anxious humans and anxious dogs can just end up getting themselves trapped in these cycles together because both brains become extremely efficient at finding evidence of threat because they've forgotten to prioritize anything else because they haven't done it for so long. But the beautiful thing is that we can also train orientation towards possibility, towards curiosity or feeling safe or engagement or just towards play and fun. And I don't mean through toxic positivity. I don't mean let's just pretend our problems don't exist and we live in a fantasy world. I don't mean that. But I mean by deliberately widening the nervous system's experience of life. You can have your problems. We all have problems. But you can expand a bit to make space for the good stuff to filter in as well. I think in reality, very few people are allowing themselves to, and I don't just mean in dog training, I mean just in life, right? Everybody. Few people are allowing themselves to just do or learn or indulge themselves in random joyful stuff anymore. And dogs can be such a beautiful gateway back into that energy because dogs naturally live in exploration. They're kind of wired for it, right? And I think part of building an incredible life with dogs is allowing ourselves to re enter some of that mindset as well for ourselves. Because in reality, play, whole concept of play is not a frivolous thing. As adults, we think it's something we should just totally leave behind in childhood, right? But play is biologically important. In mammals, play behavior is strongly associated with social bonding, emotional flexibility, resilience, learning, experimentation, stress recovery, so much good stuff. Play creates adaptability. And I honestly think a huge percentage of struggling dog human relationships are suffering not necessarily from a lack of effort. I see loads and loads of effort, but from a lack of just playfulness. Everything has become so serious. And look, I understand why. I know that people are exhausted and people feel judged and people feel overwhelmed by all the conflicting advice that there is online. And so many people feel like they're failing if their dog isn't perfect. But perfection was never supposed to be the goal. We have literally just been looking at this in the membership in recent weeks. Perfection is an unobtainable goal. It's unobtainable. Connection is the real end game that we should be striving for. And when you prioritize connection, so many other things start improving as a byproduct of you doing that. I also think side quests solve another huge issue in dog training, right? Which is essentially um what would you call it, motivation collapse. Like when your motivation dies, because one of the hardest things about long-term behavior change, and a lot of behavior change isn't instant, okay, one of the hardest things about that is that people, they stop feeling rewarded during the process of doing the work, because the final goal, it feels so far away, and the brain struggles to sustain effort when there's very little dopamine or emotional payoff along the way. And this is why gamification works so well psychologically. This is why all of those apps that totally gamify teaching you things, like how to play the piano, how to learn a new language, they are so popular and they work so well. And it's because tiny, achievable missions that, like the ones you can find within those apps, create momentum. And in our case, every successful little side quest becomes, oh, well, would you look at that? I did something cool with my dog today. We had a good time. And those moments matter because they create emotional reinforcement for the human. And to be honest, I don't think we talk about that enough in dog training. Humans absolutely need reinforcement too. Humans need wins, they need progress, they need feelings of competence and hope and excitement. So why don't we all just give it a bash, okay, and declare this the summer that we decide to become adventurers again? Ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you and your dog did something purely because it felt joyful, purely for the fun, not because you felt obligated, not because a trainer told you to, not because you were desperately trying to fix a problem, but just because you felt called to? It felt exciting. Maybe that is your first side quest. Maybe your first side quest this week is simply find joy again. What is it that would light you up? Maybe it's teaching your dog a ridiculous trick. Maybe it's drive somewhere new and just get out, let your dog sniff everything. Off you go together, let him lead. Maybe it is waiting for a sunny day, getting the picnic rug out, sitting on it together, and you eating strawberry laces. Or is that just me? We don't know. It genuinely doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What matters is rebuilding the emotional atmosphere surrounding your relationship. I want people to feel excited to wake up and hang out with their dog again. I want people to feel proud of that partnership that they have cultivated and curious about what they could do with it and empowered to go and do it and creative to come up with all of these new fun things that they can explore together. And I want dogs to experience lives full of learning and communication and joy and emotional safety. None of us bought a dog so that we had another thing in our lives to control, did we? We bought them because we wanted an incredible relationship. So, anyway, this summer, I officially invite you into the summer of side quests. Like I said, it's not official, I made it up. But absolutely go and tell everyone anyway. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is not to become a perfect dog owner. It's to become an engaged one, a more adventurous one, a curious one, a playful one, a fun one, whatever it is. Because the glow up isn't just about your dog, it's absolutely about you as well. And I think if enough people approached training and owning a dog this way, we would see dramatically happier dogs, dramatically calmer owners, and dramatically healthier relationships between the two. So, if this episode has resonated with you in any way, I would absolutely love for you to share it to your stories, send it to a dog owning friend, or tag me in your side quest this summer. Do something, post about it, tag me in it. I would absolutely love to see all the fun and cool things you are doing. I want to see the tiny wins. I want to see the silly adventures. And if you want to see mine, come and follow me on the gram. I'm at Listen Dog Training. Or if you want more ideas and inspiration and motivation and accountability, you can come and join us inside my online dog training club. I will leave a link to that in the show notes. But for now, thank you so much for listening. It's been a total pleasure gassing at you for 20 minutes. And I hope you got something useful out of this episode. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your dog walk. Go and do something fun today, and I will see you very soon in the next episode of The Walk and Talk.